if you are a good product or a good brand, be prepared to allocate budgets to your IPR expenditure. I have filed my trademark application, and hence there is this wall of China standing in front of me, and nothing will happen. You are hallucinating. I mean, a lot of you must have followed Shark Tanks, and if you notice, every product coming there is either protected under the Trademarks Act or the Patents Act. I think smaller brands need to get more alert because they have limited funds. So unless they safeguard it, getting into a litigation for them directly will be a very expensive affair.
Good afternoon and welcome to yet another episode of Business Networking with Vipul Munda. Today I have a IPR lawyer with me, a very good friend and one of the best in the business. I would like to introduce Advocate Geetikaa Khanchandani to this episode. Welcome, Geetika.
Hi, Vipul. Thanks for having me here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I'll give you a quick introduction to Geetika. Geetika has been on another podcast on thinking in the past, but for those who have missed out on that one, let me give you a quick introduction to Geetika. Geetika is an experienced intellectual property rights lawyer with over 10 years experience of extensive experience in IP law. She holds a degree in legal science and law from Mumbai University, complemented by a diploma in cyber law from the Asian School of Cyber Law and a diploma in intellectual property rights (DIPR) from the Indian Law Institute. Geetika is passionate about simplifying IPR protection for clients, making it accessible and comprehensive. My approach, she says, blends strategic advice with hands-on legal representation tailored to meet the unique needs of each client. Okay, her broad range of services related to intellectual property rights include legal advisory, international trademark registration, global trademark registration, patent registration, litigation support, infringement and passing off cases. Yeah, and in her litigation experience, she has been privileged to appear and contest cases before the high courts of Bombay, Indore, Ahmedabad, and Delhi. One of the best known legal eagles of the IPR circuit. Let me introduce you to Geetika. Geetika, good afternoon and welcome yet again.
Good afternoon.
So, we've heard a lot about IPR in the recent past. If I talk to a lot of people, they'll tell me we've heard a lot about IPR. But frankly, not too many people understand what IPR is even today. Despite all that is floating around, I think the awareness about what IPR means is not all that very clear. So, is it possible for you to begin? We dive straight into intellectual property rights and the startup ecosystem. If you can tell us what is IPR and in simple language.
Sure. So, IPR, why there are so many misconceptions is because it's a dynamic subject of law. It's also very evolving in nature. It's changing with the circumstances. So you have your conventional and traditional IPRs like the trademark, which is your brand name. Then
Right.
you have like a book, which is a literary work. You have a sound recording, which is music. You have a product, which is a design. Now, these are your traditional and conventional IPRs. But as we are becoming more and more conscious and aware, the subject is broadening. So you now have jingles as your IPR. You also have tones. Your phones, your mobile. Nokia has a particular tone to it. Samsung has a particular ringtone to it. All of that is unique, and that's your IPR. Colors are now getting into it. So with the OTT platform coming into picture, it's now no more limited to theaters. You've got a lot of IPR on your phones when it comes to your Instagram post, your reels, whatever you're putting in. Then you have your movies on the OTT platform. To put it simply, let me tell you that IPR in the conventional sense is your trademarks, it's your copyrights, it's your patents, it's your designs, it's your integrated circuits. These are the traditional formats. But the modern way of saying it is that anything and everything that helps you distinguish yourself from someone else
Right.
as and is an original creation of
Original.
your mind is an IPR.
Okay.
That's how it's broadened in nowadays.
Okay. So the one necessary condition among all of this, it has to be an original creation, and it has to be created by the person who wants to
But the
obtain
creation
the
of
right.
the mind, okay,
Creation of
that
the
that
mind. Okay.
yeah,
Creation of the
because
mind.
yeah, because it doesn't have to be a laborious affair, but there has to be an intellectual content to it. That's why it's not just a creation by me, but it's the creation of my mind.
Creation of your mind, and has to be created by the person obtaining the intellectual property. Is that right?
Yes.
So, if you can explain, how does it work? Let's say you've created something,
Hmm.
you even obtained IP for it, right? And
Hmm.
we get into the process of obtaining it and all that a little later.
Hmm.
But how does it benefit someone? I mean, let's say you've created something and you
Okay.
obtain the right kind of IPR for it. Then how
Yeah.
can one, you know, use or leverage that kind of creation?
Okay. So fostering IPR is as important as creating it.
Correct.
Okay. Because once you create it and thereafter you foster it, only then you can make economic benefits out of it.
Okay.
Okay, so if there is anything that you've created and you want to gain monetary benefits,
Right.
you ought to foster it. Now, why foster it? It is very important because let's say it's a creation that you have made and you want to monetize it and make money out of it. Until and unless you ensure that the creation remains unique, you will make money out of it. Okay.
Right.
Now, so incentivizing your innovation, very important. Anything that I create, I want to incentivize. That's why I will go ahead and I will encourage a creative person or an innovative person to safeguard it. In in exchange, I will gain financial rewards. Okay. Now, those financial rewards will continue to reap benefits as long as my IP is unique. If anything that I have created is diluted, let's let's say there is Bisleri in the market, there is Kingley in the market. We have, but Bisleri has its own market and Kingley has its own market, right?
Right.
Now, why are they able to do this? Is because they are safeguarding their products, they are safeguarding their IPs. Like today, take Colgate for instance, right? Today, Colgate has become so synonym to a toothpaste
That's
that if you go to remotest villages in the country, they don't call toothpaste as toothpaste. No matter what the brand is, they call it as Colgate.
that's
It's because Colgate has maintained that the red and white packaging is there, branding is there, and there is no one similar coming in the market. Or else you will see 10 Colgates in the market, and I will just pick anyone,
correct.
right? So it helps you have monopoly in the market. It helps you make incentivize the market, and it gets you recurring benefits. It also helps in job creation. Okay, it creates economic benefits because it creates job because the entire IT sector, if you see, is based on softwares.
Right.
Okay, these softwares are nothing but intellectual property rights. And you have Wipro, Infosys, all of these are creating benefits in the market because we have an IP that's safeguarded. So it's creating job market for everyone. All right. Also, it will, if you want to scale up your business, without investment, scaling up your business is not possible in today's era. Now, for an investor to invest into you, he has to know that you are standing apart from the market. There's something that's different about you.
Right.
Right now, that different is your IPR, right? I may be selling a lipstick, Nykaa is selling a lipstick, L'Oreal is selling a lipstick. Why would I invest in you? Is because I have created a product which is not similar to the products being offered by others. Now, that not similarity is my IPR. So unless and until I safeguard it and ensure it's not diluted, I will not even attract investors in my project, right? Because an investor market is highly competitive. Today, any investor has around 10 or 12 projects that he's constantly reviewing upon. And it's that something different that he sees, and that different has a possibility of scaling up in the market. Does he realize? Only then he puts in his money,
Right.
right? So that has to be maintained. Also, this encourages the startup culture. Today, suddenly you see there's a lot of startup culture everywhere. Everybody's, I. But if you actually sit with any entrepreneur and ask him, who's starting something of his own, you will realize how passionate he is about something different. It is a product or a process or a system that he's developed that is so passionate about offering to others, saying that this is different, right? Now, that different is his IPR, and if he doesn't safeguard it, especially before going to the investors, because once you have the reports, it's out, everybody's seeing what you're offering, right?
Correct.
So you're exposing your IP without any safeguard. So if that happens, then you will not sustain the market because there are competitors out there, and unfortunately, ethics and morals are something very personal. So not everybody shares the same value like you do. Yeah. So that is there. Then it also ensures there's healthy competition in the market. There may be same range of products, but they can't be same products in the market, right? So that is prevented. Again, copying your products is prevented. So the end consumer is not cheated. Today, if I order something online, let's say on Amazon or Flipkart, I know I will get a genuine product because it consists of a certain name on it, right? And that name, I trust that name. Why I trust that name? Because I know this name is from this origin. So this is the source of the product, and the source of the product makes X quality of product, which is okay with me. Like if I have an HUL product, I know okay, HUL has a certain quality that will suit me personally. So in that scenario, it helps preventing copycats, and it also builds a trust that goes on for generations. We've seen Johnson and Johnson being passed down from one generation, those baby oils and baby powder, right? It's passing on from one generation to another generation. Why? Because we trust Johnson and Johnson with our kids. And we know it's not going to harm us. So the trust continues because he ensures he's the only one. There is no duplicate product being offered under his name, right? So startup culture is prevented, copycats is prevented, monopoly in the market is continued, and you attract investors, right? So somewhere the economy is boosting in a healthy manner is because there are IPR safeguards in the market. It's like an invisible net that we're not actually seeing, but this is what is ensuring that the market remains healthy. Or else people will just grab onto anything that they can and they go ahead. Okay, but it's the fear of a suit or a seizure that they discontinue to do such things. Now, again, artistic work. An artist who puts in all his time and efforts. There are some artists who give all their life to one project and they eventually come out with one script to which they must have dedicated like 6 years, 8 years of their life. And then the procedure is that they develop the script, then they go to directors offering their scripts, and then who thinks and believes in their movie takes up the script and makes a movie. Now, an artist like this will only be encouraged when he knows that he can safeguard his script, right? Otherwise, it's very risky for him to go out and offer his product or even make more such products. So that is how it is protected. Also, cultural prevention. So you have the Banarasi sari, Kolhapuri chappal.
That's
So it is,
basmati rice.
yeah, basmati rice, Scotch whiskey. I think a lot of years will go up when they hear this.
Correct.
All of this is because I know that the certain brand that is used for whiskey is coming from the region of Scotch, and hence it tastes the way it does. And so I'm encouraging industry and business in that region. So, an art of that region is actually being encouraged to continue. Today, Banarasi sari is renowned all over the world, is because our artisans in Banaras are getting due, is because we are ensuring that I can only label a sari as Banarasi sari if it is come from Banaras. Yeah, same goes for Kolhapuri chappal, Basmati rice. Then you have your Kanjivaram silks, right? So it is, so we somewhere encourage and foster ancient art, our culture, is because we are ensuring it's safeguarded. Okay, so that's where it comes into picture. Then of course, with every day there are some updates, there is new technology coming out in the market. Today have the luxury of doing this over Zoom. Who thought 5, 10 years back we could do this?
Yeah.
We couldn't do this, but we are
Absolutely.
doing this. And today, though we are on Zoom, there are other platforms also that do a video conference, but the experience on all of these is very different for a
Yes.
user. Right? Now, this different experience is your IP, your user interface, the touch, the feel, the methodology, the algorithms involved in it. These are different, and this is what helps Zoom be there in spite of Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams has its own clients. So this is because there is a differentiating IPR and it's being safeguarded. And it's being encouraged to develop also. So newer technology, we were earlier on petrol, now we've come to electricity. So all of this is because there is encouragement. So the innovation is also being encouraged and people want to develop something more because they know they can make money out of it. Otherwise, who would have thought like an app like Facebook could make you a millionaire years ago? Imagine it was such a preposterous idea. I'll sit at home and do something of the computer and become like a billionaire. Our parents didn't come from that mindset. Their mindset was कि बहुत काम करना है. So this is because of IP that life has got easier. Imagine people are sitting at home making reels on Instagram and making lakhs and crores of rupees.
Unimaginable even 10 years ago.
Exactly. It's because Instagram is providing you a platform and it has so many softwares integrated with it. And whatever you're doing on it, so let's say you're acting earlier to showcase your talent, you needed like a
Correct.
platform. Today it's on your phone.
Yeah.
And people in remotest areas of the country are making and doing well out of it. So it's changing the economic dynamics also. The more people are becoming aware about it, the more they're understanding how much you can monetize this. So it's evolving. And I think that's what even keeps us going because we also every day learn something new about
Um,
it. Yeah. We came down to hashtags, now we've come down to algorithms. That's why when I started, I told you it's very dynamic, it's
Dynamic.
growing.
So just tell
You
me
know?
one thing. In
Yeah.
this, when you do an IPR registration, is there a
Hmm.
life to that IPR? I mean, is there a life or is it a perpetual thing?
So it depends what IPR it is. Let's say if it is a trademark, then the initial lifeline is 10 years, but it's extendable. Okay, it's extendable as long as the owner of the trademark wants to do. However, the scenario is different for patents. Patents have a lifetime of 20 years. Of
Mhm.
course, that is subject to payment of renewal fees. But after 20 years, it goes in public domain. Okay, now the system is as such is because innovation is it is considered innovation is for the betterment of humankind. Okay, so the government wants to encourage innovation, but at the same time, it doesn't want you to become a monster
Yeah.
where you have monopoly through and through. So after 20 years, they put it into public domain so that now you made enough benefits out of it. Okay. If you have developed a clientele, it will of course continue coming to you, but others can also adopt it. Same goes for your copyright. So a copyright in any work will last for the lifetime of the author, the one who has created it. Thereafter, there are different timelines for different copyrighted work. Basically, there's 60 years after his death, or so on and so forth, because they want the family of the author also to benefit the reaps of their efforts.
All right.
So, depending on what subject you are, the timelines will vary.
So there is a lifetime, but then that lifetime varies depending on what kind of
Yeah,
IPR
yeah, and it's subject to conditions.
subject.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's where experts like you come in terms of
Yeah.
helping.
And it's important also because I tell you there was this judgment of passed for this drug, which is a cancer saving drug. Okay, and what had happened is they had patented the technology. It was Novartis versus Union
All
of
right.
India. Yeah. So they had this lung drug that they developed for lung cancer, if I'm correct. And the patent was about to expire. What then they came up with slight modifications in the existing patent, and they went ahead and tried to file another application, which was refused because it did not enhance any efficiency as such of the product.
Correct.
As in not significantly, they were like minor changes to it. Again, they went in appeal and so on and so forth, where the Supreme Court laid down that if such a conduct is allowed, this will completely fail the intent of the legislature. Where the legislature was very clear that it did not want to evergreen, this concept of evergreen came in that
Evergreen.
they didn't want to evergreen a patent. There was a reason it was for 20 years. So if you make slight modifications, which are not significant, then you're just trying to find loopholes in the existing symptoms, and then they were not granted registration. If, of course, you have an existing patent and you make drastic and significant changes, then of course it gives rise to new or a completely different product, then definitely you can again file for it. But this is because, again, otherwise one company will have monopoly in the market, which can adversely affect human health and safety.
In the case of pharma, I think it's called as a new chemical entity.
New,
NCE.
yeah, new chemical entity, but again, it's again how new it is very important because I said right, slight modification not giving rise to a significant change will not work.
May not. So let's take a question from the audience which is coming in.
Hmm.
So this is related to digital technologies. So Aisha Patel has a question. Her question is, how does the rise of digital technologies impact IT protection for Indian startups?
So when you say rights of digital technologies, they are limited. Okay, rights of a software owner are also limited to the extent that it's been granted to them. As long as there is fair play involved in the picture, there is no problem to it. But as soon as it becomes infringing, is when the issue will arise. So they are both mutually exclusive of each other because the rights of a software owner are clearly established. It is limited to the extent where there is uniqueness involved and innovation involved. Okay. The rest of the part of it is not covered. Now let me put it to you. We are on Zoom currently,
Yeah.
right? So we are on a system where there is access to camera, access to mic, and we are speaking to each other. Now, this concept is there with others as well, right? However, the method and the UI and the algorithm which is being used over here is what is differentiating for the others. So the common elements are not taken into consideration. The unique elements are, and as soon as you start overstepping on the unique elements, you get out of the doctrine of fair play and you immediately get into an action of infringement.
Okay.
Because it was a hyper technical question, my answer has been hyper
No,
technical.
no, that's all right. That's all
Yeah,
right. Because I mean, we'll. I think, and as we go along, I think it'll get clarified. Because we can't
yeah.
possibly clarify everything in one
Yeah,
day.
yeah. No,
So,
because the question was very technical, so it's important I answer it.
perfectly fine. So, I'll take a couple of more questions. So here is, I want to talk about the importance now of safeguarding, IP, and
Yeah,
also if you can, give us a few instances where having the right approach to safeguarding your IP has,
yeah,
helped the company, specifically startup, because this whole discussion is going to be about startups. So, how because typically startups have are short on a lot of things when they begin. They're
true.
definitely short of resources. So and I hope a lot of startups don't in their given the fact that they have limitations of money, especially
Yeah.
they don't end up compromising on IP protection. So, can you give us an example of how, by properly protecting their copyrights, some startups have actually gained? If you,
No,
and
no,
I'm sure you might have a couple of
this
examples.
is my favorite question,
That's
Vipul. In fact, I'll tell you what, I am practicing what I'm practicing because since day one is what I've been trying to grill into all my clients. So
right.
anyone who approaches me saying that, I have XYZ that I want to register, my question to them is not that, okay, this is the charges and this is how you're going to do it. My question to them is why you want to do this.
Brilliant. Okay.
Okay, because because there is a lot of information. Now, all of that information out there, especially on the internet and on the Google, is not correct. Unfortunately, we are unable to filter what is information, what is misinformation. Okay, and I'm going to take this and tell it to you that there's a lot of misconception that's you want to just register it because you want a certificate. Okay, or you want to register it because many a times अरे मुझे investor meeting में जाना है उनको दिखाना है तो मेरा value बढ़ जाएगा, you
Yeah.
know. हाँ. So do not come with this approach, okay?
Okay.
Because filing an application is anybody can do it. Okay, anybody can do it. You can do it on your own also. If you can read and write, you can do it on your own. Okay, why you need to safeguard is because you understand that if you are not safeguarding this, You cannot claim any monopoly. The reason your investor is also very curious on knowing your IPR profile is because he's coming with that mentality that if I am putting in some money, I know my money is on a safe bet. I am not betting into something that 10 different people have. Of course, I will not be able to monetize. Okay. So I understand as a startup, you have your budget allocations. You can only spend XYZ amount on whatever you're doing. But also understand this, you are safeguarding what is unique to you. Probably you've taken years and months to develop what you have done. Now, if you don't protect it, your entire deal might fail. You may have the best investor, you may have an analyst, you may have someone who's helping you in marketing, digitalizing, whatever you're doing to attract more investors. But you are not going to be unique. There are 10 people going to be competing with you, and that day your investor is going to just walk out of you. Okay, he's probably not going to give you the offer that he wants to give you. So safeguarding, when you think you don't operate from the space of scarcity. Don't come with a mentality that I have scarce resources. Come with a mentality that this is all I have and I need to protect it.
Yes.
Okay. And safeguarding it is not expensive as long as you're smart about it. Okay. If you have developed something and you have gone out and blabbered about it to 10 different people, put it on social media platform, and then when you realize that there is someone copying something similar, and then you start running to an IPR attorney, of course it's going to be expensive because you're late. So right now he just doesn't have to, you know, start protecting you, but he has to stop the infringers also. So it becomes expensive. But if at the very inception, let's say you develop something, that's when I tell my clients also to come as soon as you have developed something, thought of something. Let's say even if you thought like I want this brand name on this product,
Right.
you get your due diligence done. Don't put your time and energy, don't waste it into thinking, okay, I'll get the best graphic designer, I will make a fancy logo, artistic packaging, And then after spending lakhs of rupees, come to your IPO attorney and say, oh, now you check. No, I need to register this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too late then for them to even suggest any changes because they know you're not going to like it,
Right.
right? So first get your due diligence done and learn that even a penny put into this project is worth its while. Once you have done that, start taking steps to safeguard it. Sit with your lawyer and strategize what all you need to do to protect it. Okay. If you have budget allocation, don't do it all at once. Ask them that what is it that I should do first, and then what is it that I should do over a period of time. Okay,
Right.
and they will guide you through how you're supposed to do it because even they understand that once you tell them you're a startup or an MSME, even if you are an established business and you're starting a separate venture, you have budget allocations. You just can't go spending left, right, center. Okay,
Right.
that's called being smart. So if you're smart enough not to put in all your money into one thing, then be smart enough to take steps slowly, slowly, gradually to safeguard it. Okay. Once you have your strategy, safeguarding an IP is not a one-time affair. Let me make it very clear. I have filed my trademark application, and hence there is this wall of China standing in front of me, and nothing will happen. You are hallucinating. Okay. It is a recurring affair. Every year you will have to put in some money to safeguard it because somewhere someone will keep erupting. If you are a good product or a good brand, be
Yeah.
prepared to allocate budgets to your IPR expenditure. Because if you have somebody copying you, know it you're doing the right thing. And now you need to stop. Okay, so you're doing something right that people want to copy, but you have to allocate budgets. Any large established organization or any successful startup who's got an investor knows this that every year they have to allocate budget to IPR expenditure. Something will come. Either they have an opposition, either someone has applied for a name, same color, similar color, or you are introducing new product. It's going to happen. It's a recurring job. It's not a one-time expenditure. So mentally be prepared. Allocate it, do it step by step. Once you have your basics safeguarded, only then go out and make your investor reports. Till then, do not put anything out. Even for an artist, many a times they write books or stories, okay, and they come from a lot. I've come across writers who really can't afford even proper lawyers, right? So the bare minimum we tell them is at least write something and email it to yourself, the least. So we know this on this date, this work was created by you, right? So start documenting. Okay, start documenting, start saving papers. Okay. And I'm going to take this out and loud and say, please do not destroy your papers after 7 years saying that कि income tax act के अंदर destroy करना सब allowed है. नहीं अलाउड है. आप प्रॉपरली एक्ट पढ़िए. वो सिर्फ इतना कहते हैं कि अगर आपके पास नहीं होंगे 7 साल से पुराने पेपर तो आपके ऊपर एक्शन नहीं होगा. दैट्स ऑल दे आर सेइंग. Okay, but you need those papers for different purpose. So before destroying your papers, please take legal advice. Just don't go on discarding papers. I'm saying this out loud, Vipul, because many a times this is the most common mistake we get with. You know, I don't have any records. I've destroyed everything, or I don't have emails. Yeah, you're smiling through, but I'm telling you, this is an everyday scenario. So, maintain your records, proper strategy. Now, what will happen is when you go to an investor, he will understand that you are also very conscious of what you're offering. So, he will take you seriously. And then, once you are in that position of power, is only when you can negotiate with him. If you expose everything without safeguarding it, you are in no position for any negotiation. You just have to take whatever he's offering because you're just scared now that he might take something similar or something similar might come out in the market and you're done. I mean, a lot of you must have followed Shark Tanks, and if you notice, every product coming there is either protected under the Trademarks Act or the Patents Act. And that's the question they put into you. And even in the investor pitch, if you hear carefully, they will tell you this that it's my registered trademark, it's my protected design,
Correct.
it's my
Correct.
patented product. Why? Because this makes me, when I listen to this, I know, okay, this is unique. This is something that the government is declaring is unique to this person. So now I'm paying attention.
So I can see that you are extremely passionate about this, and yeah, I mean, and I think it's something. I mean, I've of course heard you speak about it many times. And
Yeah.
the reason I wanted to interrupt you a little bit and ask you is because fine. I mean, we understood this. Now we want to understand: are there any examples? And which is what I wanted to get from you is: are there any successful examples of people who actually done this and it has benefited them? Because I know that I'm sure there are hundreds of cases where people have not followed this and have landed into trouble. But can you give us a couple of good examples of
I
people who
will,
done
but
it
I
and then been extremely
okay,
we
I will
we
give
need not
you.
take names. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to. I'll tell you a recent example because I've not sought permission.
Sure.
So I will not put out the name.
That's fine.
Um, so there's this nutraceutical company that had come to us. Why I'm saying this is because this is a very recent success story, all right? They had come to us because and I didn't know this, they're raising investment. They just came to us saying that we need to carry out a due diligence of our IPR portfolio. Now, this company came to us when they already had an IPR attorney who was filing their necessary applications and so on and so forth. So we did not understand why, in spite of having someone, they want another attorney to carry out their due diligence. But they were very honest about it and transparent, saying that we have someone and we only want you to do the due diligence. And we said, okay, we agreed upon that, whatever may be the reason. And they asked us to send them a complete report wherever we find there are lacunas in as to whatever has happened as on date. We went through the entire portfolio. They had around 30, 40 trademark applications that they had filed, and they had another patent also that they had filed for, and we gave them our report as to, in our opinion, this is what is right, this is what is wrong, and this is what is requiring immediate rectification. All
Right.
right, correction in case you are very serious about what you're asking for, because generally you, and this was a startup, okay,
Yeah.
and generally startups are not that IP conscious,
Correct.
unfortunately. So we were also taken aback. We were surprised. Oh, such an IP conscious startup. Very nice. Good for us. There's hope in this world. So we delivered our report, and only after delivering the report, we were told that they came to us because they had their trademarks applications filed, However, they were not clearing in the second round of investment with anyone. And the reason and they were looking around 200 to 50 crores of investment. So it was not a small investment they were looking for. And why they were failing is because whoever they went to was saying that your trademark portfolio is not intact. And they were not understanding that in spite of having filing applications, why is someone telling them that their trademark portfolio is not intact?
Right.
But and those companies then, when one of the investor was very seriously invested in them, he went ahead and actually gave them a remark sheet as to what is the difficulty with their existing portfolio and why they don't trust, in spite of their product being good, in spite of the product being the need of the market. Why is this company not investing? Is because their IPO portfolio has lacunas, and the company is worried that if they put in money and tomorrow they face suit or duplication in the market, their liability is going to go over the top. It's going to be not in appropriation with the investment they're making, and they're not interested on taking liabilities over. They want assets. Fortunately, or to my luck, my our report and their report matched coincidentally. Whatever lapses we found in their profile is the exact lapses the proposed investor found in it. And this was informed to us after the due diligence report. And the client immediately got on the call and wanted to clarify all the steps and take necessary steps to rectify it. So overnight we were switched on, we got on board, but we didn't have enough time because the investor did not want to wait. So we were just put into the investor meetings, and I think over a week or two we just worked on one client, and we got, at least we started the steps. Of course, the results will come in due course, and that's the reason we had to make our submissions to the investors and sit in the rounds also, because the result will take a while to come. We really can't do about it. What's gone under the bridge has gone under the bridge, but we'll rectify is what we undertook. The investor being convinced that we know what we are doing and we are rectifying what we are doing, he immediately granted them investment. Okay. He granted them an investment of 250 crores. Okay. Of course, subject to the terms, what they said was that we'll make 50% of the investment now and 50% of the investment once all this is rectified. Okay, which is fair on their part because we also need time, which eventually got completed. And today, that client who trusted us is one of our biggest clients, giving us regular business. And I can't unfortunately name them,
That's
but
fine.
they are available in every second pharmaceutical that you go and visit. Okay, and I mean, our trust has gone to another level because they were taken aback knowing that in spite of taking efforts, they couldn't get what they want. So it's that's why I told you, when you decide what you want to do, you need to strategize. Just filing an application is not your solution.
Right.
And that's why you need to know why you want to file. If you just want a certificate to be framed on your wall, then go ahead and file applications for anything under the sun. But if you really want to stay exclusive and make money out of it and get investment, then you need proper guidance.
Interesting. I mean, yeah. So now, I'll take a question which has come on the group. This is a
Hmm.
question by Gayatri Nair. It says, how can startups ensure that their innovation is protected while still collaborating with large companies or investors?
So exactly what is it? First, get your due diligence. Second, get your basics protected. Unless
Right.
and until you have protected, do not step outside the market. It's that simple. It's that simple. Do not step out. It's like putting sunscreen on your skin. If I want to make it very simple, don't go out on the sun till you've applied some sunscreen.
So in a way, you're saying that your IPR registration or obtaining your IPR is like obtaining a insurance policy.
It's not an
For
insurance policy because insurance policy is something you will claim only when there are damages.
them.
I'm not saying it's your
This is your
insurance
this is your
policy.
helmet and your
Correct. This is your
sunglasses.
helmet because if you're driving without a helmet, you're going to injure yourself. You're putting yourself out at risk. Okay. If you meet good people, good for you. You have good karma. People are not copying what you're doing. But unfortunately, in my experience, good karma or bad karma, people nowadays are wanting in the business of making easy and fast money.
Yeah.
Okay. Reebok is facing copies like Reebok. Okay, when brands like Reebok, Puma, where they have budget allocations, are filing suits day in and day out to deter duplicates and pirators, I think smaller brands need to get more alert because they have limited funds. So unless they safeguard it, getting into a litigation for them directly will be a very expensive affair.
So when we're talking about IPR, what I see, the way you've explained it, it's like the core of a company, right? I mean, it's like what plant and machinery is to manufacturing companies or to the old industrial age companies. It's what keeps you in business, or at least makes you much more profitable uh, compared to competition.
I'll go with the former. It's what that keeps you in business. Forget being profitable.
Right. So, plant and machinery finds a place in the balance sheet.
Yes,
Does IP actually find a place in the balance sheet? I mean,
it
how
does.
does that work?
It does. It does.
It
It
does.
does. So it
And
is
how
your
does the valuation of that happen?
correct. So it's your intangible asset. A.
Right.
Okay. Your intangible asset is bare minimum part of your goodwill.
Right.
If you observe your balance sheet, there is a column for goodwill and you put an amount, X amount against it. Now that amount of goodwill, what is goodwill? Goodwill is your IPR. It's the reputation. How will you acquire reputation? When you are unique and people know who you are. Today, I know Vipul Bondal is Vipul Bondal because he is Vipul Bondal, right? If I know 10 Vipul Bondals and I can't distinguish, right? So
Hope not.
that's
Yeah.
it. No, I hope that there's only one Vipul Bondal. Okay, getting to the point. So that's what keeps you unique and keeps you going. So unless that's where it finds place in your balance sheet, in your goodwill. Now, how do you value it? So there are various methods of valuation. The valuation also depends on the subject matter of IPL. Okay, if it is a product or a name, then you see the market share capital. You make projects as to what is the profitability, what is going to be the valuation of this product anyway. So there are projection reports involved. Of course, there's a lot of guesswork considering the existing market scenario. Okay,
Yeah.
and it differentiates. Let's say I come up with a healthy drink, my chances of projection of a market which will have a bigger demand for them is way higher compared to, let's say, I come up with a high sugar contained juice. Okay,
Yeah.
because if you look at how the market is going today, the demand for healthy goods is a lot more higher compared to your regular goods. Like the demand for a gluten free bread is a lot more higher than your average maida bread, right? So it depends on the product, the nature of the product, the market you want to capture, the city you want to target. So there are methodologies set up for it. There are registered valuers who undertake IP valuation.
Right.
Okay, not all your valuers do it. This is a
Specific
very
niche.
specific, yeah, very niche. Not your regular average valuer will take it because this requires a lot of industrial understanding and projection.
Correct.
Again, whether if it is an FMCG product, is it a B2B product, is it a B2C product, all of those are taken into consideration thereafter you do the valuation. Now let's take Wipro or Infosys. Their valuation and their entire balance sheet is on that software that they're developing. So they are entering it in their capital sheet. They are giving it their allocated budgets. They are putting in what is the current rate or valuation of the product depending on what is the market it has captured, how much revenue that IP is generating, what is the projection we see in the next 10 years coming in. So it does find place in your balance sheet. So either in the most basic format, it is the part of your goodwill. If you make a detailed valuation, then it will be a part of a separate entry in your balance sheet in the assets column.
That's what my question was. Goodwill is one part, but our
But for
company
that, it also depends on how conscious you are, right?
that.
Right. That you want to go ahead and take a valuation for it.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong once again. I mean, if you invest in actually finding the real value of it by, let's say employing a valuation firm to, kind of really value the actual value of your IP, and then you find a value which is near to or exactly what it should be, then the chances of those companies attracting investments
Yes.
would
So
also
after so
improve.
correct. So once you have safeguarded it, then when you go for valuation and projections, which is a part of your investor report.
That's right.
Only then can you get investors in. So
So that's
when I
what.
told you the case study, they had their valuation report, but they were still not clearing. Now, why I'll tell you this was a rare scenario is because the company that they were approaching is a very old player in the market. Okay, so their entire legal department understood the intricate details of an IP protection, and they also undertook that what they may be investing in will not be an asset but may turn into a liability if not done properly, right? And that's where this whole dynamics came into picture and we popped in.
So, let's take a couple of questions here from a gentleman called Sham Mukul. It's a
Hmm.
question which it says, what are the key differences in IP protection in India compared to major markets like the US or Europe?
Oh, well, with the evolving scenario, there exists very little. Okay. Because so IP has been with us pre-independence. We had the 1940 Act, we had the 1911 Act. Post-independence, it's been evolving. And today, because of the entire digital platforms, I think IP in the true sense is just going beyond borders. It's going beyond borders. It's no more limited to jurisdictions. In fact, many a times countries where I don't have any IP certificate issued by the department, I'll use the term certificate is because officially no certificate issued, that country may recognize IP in me because of my reputation in another country, right? That's called the trans-border reputation or the spillover reputation. Okay, so technically there are no differences because the law has now unified. India has ratified to the WIPO office, which is the World Intellectual Property Office, and the various treaties coming out of it. Now, what these treaties ensure is that the method of safeguarding and the reliefs for any piracy or duplicacy are same. They are uniform. So this encourages foreign trade. Okay. So the misconception that, oh, probably, US law is much better, India is retarded, and we still have a long way to go. Not truly. I think we are evolving and we are at par with them so far as the legislature law is concerned. Of course, with the execution, we have our struggles because we are just adapting to digital era, or that adapting to newer technology where they have been exposed to it much before in time. But what I can do in India is what I can do it in the US, what I can do in the Europe. In fact, I'll tell you, our compared to some countries, our law is much better. Yeah, because we follow the common law rights. So we are more fair when it comes to prior adoption and prior usage is given safeguarded in spite of prior registration. There are some countries where if even if it's a duplicate brand, but if it is registered with the trademark office prior and I'm the original brand, the courts won't listen to me. Our country doesn't recognize that. Our country is like whoever is used it prior has reputation, needs to be safeguarded. So we are at par with them because this not only encourages export of goods but also import of goods. That's why if you see and notice, there's a lot of foreign investment and foreign brands now coming into India because they know
Correct.
our laws are at par.
Yeah, I remember in the 90s there was a lot of debate going on that the Indian laws are not enough to protect many of the patented products.
We are doing I mean,
But we've
I
come a long way
understand
from there.
very long way because I tell you people, I when I in 2006 I started interning in trademarks. Okay. And 2006, when I used to tell I'm doing interning with a law firm that does IPR, fellow lawyers would ask me if company सिर्फ IPR करता है, IPR में how do they survive and what do they do?
Correct.
And nobody understood trademark क्या है, copyright क्या है, patent क्या है. And today, look, even in the Instagram post, we are giving credits at the bottom. That's how
Correct.
conscious we've become. Right? IPRS is doing a fab job. Events में नहीं तो music ऐसे ही बज रहा है without taking necessary licenses, right?
Correct.
So we are now come a very long way today. But of course, we have a longer way to go. There is no denial to it. I am not delusional about it. But you have to give credit to what all has happened, and
What
it takes time and effort to do what is happening. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, and you're right because I'm talking about this period before the period that you're talking about is when the major software companies came into India, and many companies I know were very very hesitant because they
Yeah.
were not very sure about the existing regulations in India, and a lot of products, especially in the pharma area,
Yeah.
they eluded the Indian market for a very long time.
And
Uh,
today, India is the most sought after market by
Sort of the
anyone.
market. That's
So imagine
long way.
what we've come through. So of course, yes, long way to go to, but I think we should give ourselves a pat on the back that at least we are somewhere on the map and we're a young country. We are developing constantly. Our Chief Justice is also very IP conscious. I don't know if you all have heard Justice Chandrachud.
Yes.
At times, he's very conscious of what he's saying and what he's using. So you have to give credit. And it takes time. It takes time and effort for any change to come into reality because what happens is the consumer or the end user only sees it when it's completely out. But when you're in there, you can see it. Like for me, I'll tell you today, majority of my hearings are happening from the comforts of my office, which is not imaginable because earlier we used to just run from one court to another throughout the day, right? And it's become so convenient that today with a smaller team, we can do much more work than we could do earlier, right? And it's because the departments are adopting today. Imagine all the departments have become digitalized. You don't have to go and stand in the queues and do your work. It's such a relief.
And I stay a few meters away from the IP registration office, and I remember there was a time when you used to see a lot of people coming in and out, and now everything is online, and you can actually you
Or
don't
else
have to go
yeah,
there.
because imagine I am sitting in the comforts of my office attending hearings in Delhi, Ahmedabad, and Bombay on the same day.
Okay, and I'll take a question here from Raj Vyas.
Hmm.
Because it's a little close to my heart in that sense. So, his question is how important is copyright protection for content driven startups like those in media, entertainment, or software development?
Well, literary work. You fall clearly under the ambit of literary work. So, if it is something that because when you're saying content writing, I don't know what exactly you're doing, but if you're into print publication, for instance, if involves an innovative aspect from you, okay, if it is not a laborious task that you have taken it of just writing down or putting down what is already there and making a report on it. No. But if you have put in your innovative aspect to it, then of course you have now rights in it. Now, for a copyright, okay, I mean what I like about copyright is unlike your trademarks or your patents or your design where registration is mandatory for you to take any litigation. The under the Copyright Act, there is no such registration mandatory. Okay. Why this is so is because copyright is humongous work. Okay, every article that you write, every book that you write is a subject matter of copyright. And the legislature understands that this will just burden an artist or an author or a writer as to it. Okay. And it's impossible to keep protecting everything because, again, your work is evolving. Today, you may write something, tomorrow, you may say, I want to make some changes to it and I want to write something else. I want to polish the work further. So, every time you can't do it, right? So, once you have created it, the copyright in the work automatically subsists. Now, here is the tricky part, okay, because this is where most of the authors and writers are exploited. How you give it further for monetizing it is important, and what rights you give. Because copyright is a bundle of rights. So just asking someone or allowing someone to publish that article doesn't mean you've given them all the rights in the article. Okay. So what rights are you giving? Are you giving them one-time publication right? Are you giving them publication right altogether? Are you giving them adaptation right out of it?
Yeah.
Okay, and adaptation for what purpose? For what period? All of these are questions that are far more important. Generally, what we've seen is, it's a very laid back approach. Ha, humne de diya hai, and they are doing what they are doing about
Making
it.
a film
And
out of it.
later, yeah, and later, recently, I'll tell you, there was this gentleman who developed this maths problem. He's a PhD in maths, and he developed a book that consists of around 30-40 maths problems. Okay. He must have given 20 years of his life to this project. Okay, where he's developed this. He's a mathematician, he's developed this. He came to us through a fellow IPR lawyer. Okay, now what he had done is he had given those mathematical problems to a publication house to make it into a book and publish it. Now, while handling over that, the publication house had a standard document
which he was told कि हम तो ये सबसे लेते ही है document publication करने से पहले. So he blindly signed it and he handed over the work to the publication house. Now, this was the labor of his 20 years of brain racking. He's become old. He's offering it so that he can make some money out of it now, right? And the deal was that he will give them the book, they will publish it for him, and the revenue generated out of it will be divided between them. Okay, and he will make money out of this. After
That is
having
the
given,
expectation.
yeah, least expectation, and he blindly trusted them. Signed mathematician, so this man knows what he's doing. He's well read. Okay, it's not that, but उनका पेपर आया, उन्होंने कहा ये साइन करके फॉर्म देना है, तो हमने दे दिया. Typical answer. Okay, he didn't read anything. The publication house for months did not publish the book. They did not copy it, but they did not even publish it.
Published.
Thereafter, he's calling them, and all he told us was कि मैंने जब लिख के दिया था उसमें लिखा हुआ था कि I've given them all the rights. This he remembered. So, and they are not publishing it. He's not able to make money. He's calling us left, right, center. Our question to him was what did he sign? So he shared us the documents. Fortunately, there was a condition that he has to publish it. So that party did not fulfill his part of the promise. And that's why we could declare that this document is null and void. And that's when we told him, you go ahead, you go to another, because he was now very scared to give his
Go to a
own
new.
work to another publication house, worrying that if I do so, they will file a suit against me for infringement because I have written and given them all the rights. So he was in a tricky soup where he couldn't even take it to someone else. He was just stuck what to do with it. But fortunately, they did not fulfill their end of the promise. And when we could tell him that, you go ahead and you give it to another publication house, you start generating money out of him. If at all they come to you, their agreement is null and void, you need not be worried, we are right here. Okay, this is a pro bono assignment we took up because this gentleman was broke, right? And he's old, like, what do you do about it? So we told him, you go ahead. But imagine a scenario where the publication house publishes the work and you go into a dispute where he doesn't pay you money. Now,
Yeah.
tomorrow, his dispute is going to be funded from the money he's generating by selling your book. And you are spending more money to get some money, right? So you have to not blindly sign anything that's been offered to you. Just because that's why I told you, you have to change your mentality. You're not operating from a space of scarcity. You are the creator, you're the author. You have something more precious than the, some money that they're offering, right? So come from a space of abundance and then go forward. Just don't blindly sign saying कि ये करना है, but because this man was in a tricky soup and he was worried. And this case came to us from an IPR lawyer who was like, I don't know what to do because they've signed the document and handed over. So technically, he assigned all the rights and he couldn't even claim anything.
So I hope, Raj, that answers your question. I think it was quite detailed in terms of what needs to be done, and she's taken a very complicated case and told you the importance of what copyright protection and how important it is. So we'll come to the crux of this. This whole podcast is called business networking, and because it is all about business networking, and you
Hmm.
are a business networker yourself. So can you walk us through a journey as a business networker?
So I can now say I'm a business networker. When I started, I was nowhere.
Right.
Okay, because networking though sounds very easy as a word, saying that anybody can do it, but to be very honest, it's an art. To be able to be there, because you may land up giving your card or your number and telling anyone that what you do is important and what you do is there, but you have to leave a mark on someone in 30 seconds.
Right.
Which is a task. And to be very honest, I'm still learning, is what I'll say. I've been doing it for a while. And it's very important because it is a holistic thing when it comes to developing your business, right? It just doesn't helps you get more client, but it also grooms you. It gives you ground level reality of how it is to go and develop a business, which I don't think any curriculum is actually offering out there. So you may be someone who's graduated from IIT or IIM, but good for you. You have a head start in life. But when it comes to going out and developing your own business, and developing your own business need not just be that I need to get more clients. It could be I need to serve better to my clients. I need to serve more to my clients. I need to be more solution oriented. This can also be your approach when it
Right.
comes to business development. So this can happen when you are comfortable networking, because when you have networking, that clearly implies there is a bunch of people like-minded that you can depend on, right? And this can be for multiple purpose. If you ask me, I think it helped me groom from someone who was a lawyer, who was working just, you know, like a hardcore worker doing just what they're supposed to do, to become a business entrepreneur who actually understands what it is to cater to a client, what it is to build a client relationship. I was good at what I was doing. There is no denial to it, and I'm very proud of saying that out loud. So I was good at what I was doing, but I didn't know how to put it to someone and make them understand that I'm really good at what I'm doing and trust me what I'm doing at. You need that chance, you need that opportunity. And also, if you have that chance and happen to have that opportunity, you need to nurture that relationship with your client. So your client may not come to you just because he needs you to do something for them, but he may come to you for a genuine advice where he may need your help connecting him to someone who needs their services. Right? So when you're networking, don't have that aggressive approach कि बस मुझे जाना है और मुझे आज business लेके आना है. You may not get any business, but you have got a contact, and there's one more person in the world who knows what you're doing. I think that is more than enough, because I know I've met people years back. I don't remember their names, I don't remember their faces, but somehow after years they call me, oh, you know what, 2 years back we had met. And that's what, when they tell me that, do I realize, shit, I made an impact. So happy someone remembers me after 2 years. Yeah. So when it comes to networking, it's not just going and getting business for yourself. It's when you have that approach, you are again being the frog in the pond. Go jump into the sea. It's huge. And business is going to come. If people know you and people like you, trust me, they will go out and get work for you. If they don't like you, if they don't know you, you may be a genius, but you will have no work.
So we've come to the, I mean, we've actually exceeded the time that I asked from you.
Yeah, it's
So,
me. So,
yeah. So, how do you see yourself 5, 10, 15 years into the future? What vision
15
do you
years,
have?
definitely I need to be more evolved than I am right now. I need,
That I'm
uh,
sure.
yeah, I need to be more evolved, and when I say evolved, I need a holistic approach where yes, my work is growing, but I am equally balanced when it comes to my personal life, my physical, staying healthy. So all of those, and my work is going to scale. There is no stopping. My vision is very clear out there. My work is my priority. And anybody who knows me enough to know that I live in my office. The only time I go home is to sleep. And I love that about myself, that I'm that crazy when it comes to work. But I don't know any other way of life is all I can tell. This is what I think is my purpose. And as long as when I get those small success stories from my clients, I think it boosts my morale to another level, when I'm just more enthused to do more things. And when I see my juniors also picking up and getting orders, it just makes me feel like, oh Rod, okay, I'm creating some more good people in the world who may just get better results, because I know I'm not here forever. I need to download whatever information I have learned, because somebody has downloaded it, that on me is what I'm able to do, what I'm able to do. So create more lawyers who have not a approach just to make money, but they also start with the question why you want to do what you want to do.
Fantastic. So, like Simon Sinek had said, begin with why. So you have your why in place and you know where you're going to go. On that note, Gitika, thank you very much for your time
Thank
and I
you.
wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much, people. Thank you.